My name is Vaishali Jha, and this is the Care Jana podcast. Here I am today with Kripa.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was nice for you to be here today. My first question is, what specific goals and aspirations drive the work you engage in?
Yeah. So my primary goal has always been to kind of create a world where children feel protected and healthcare is accessible and equitable for everyone. And I'm currently a second year computer science major, and I'm really trying to find that intersection between technology and healthcare access and poverty so that I can kind of help those nonprofits and humanitarian sectors in a more technological way, like making that access present for people in even remote locations, regardless of their socioeconomic status. But yeah, I aspire to bridge that gap in different disparities, ensure I'm a very big mental health advocate, so ensuring that those mental health resources are available for everyone. And I also have a nonprofit called Addressing Wellness and Equity, and I'm one of the co founders. And as part of that, and also being a global youth advocate for UNICEF, I really want to help foster that collaboration between like across borders and just empower different communities to advocate for their own rights and needs because often it feels like you don't have a voice and what you're saying, especially youth, we often don't get a seat at that table. So making sure that everyone has that voice and are able to voice their needs and their opinions. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I'm also a really big mental health advocate
Yeah.
because coming after COVID, a lot of
Yeah,
people have
especially, yeah.
struggled.
Mhm.
Yeah. Could you
Yeah.
share a deeply personal or impactful story that inspired your involvement in this work?
Yeah, of course. So growing up, both of my parents, they're from India and they were very influenced by poverty. My dad often didn't have enough food to eat, and my mom's like roof was always leaking, didn't have a safe shelter from like the extreme weather. So that kind of shaped my perspective on social justice and equity. Um, and just witnessing like their struggles when going back to India and like hearing about what they went through as a child instilled in me a really big sense of empathy for those facing similar challenges and it also instilled a sense of determination to kind of address those systematic inequalities that are unfortunately present in a lot of different communities and this personal connection to poverty and like health and well-being and just access to different resources really made me like have a drive to make a difference, whether that just be like working with my nonprofit or just advocating for different things. I've advocated on Capitol Hill for like the Keeping Girls in School Act and the READ Act and the Mines Act. So just doing things legislatively, but also things in your own community, just small events to kind of provide those essential resources. Something as simple as translating documents or mental health resources from English to Spanish or different languages just to make that more equitable for everyone, especially when English might not be their first language. But yeah, I think that story was the one that really inspired me, and especially mental health. One of my close friends went through like mental health struggles, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, as you mentioned. It was definitely a hard time being online school and really not seeing anyone for a year and a half. So that was a very hard time, and I think the lack of resources and the stigma just around mental health at that time really inspired me to get into advocacy. So I think my advocacy really started and right after, like during and after the COVID-19 pandemic for that reason.
Yeah, definitely. I guess for me, yeah, I became a mental health advocate due to that reason too. And I feel
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
especially being a Desi American, it's like
Yes.
so
There's so much
stigmatized.
stigma. Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, if oh, you're gonna get therapy. Oh, are you like psychotic or something? It's like,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, honestly, I don't know why people like shy away from, you
Mhm.
know, like either doing yoga or meditation every day. Like they think it's so
Exactly.
uncool and
Yeah.
rather they'd
Mhm.
go partying. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, exactly. And I, especially in the Desi community, I think it's really hard to explain the even like the concept of mental health.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, "What is that?" Like, you're fine, you're overreacting. And those are a lot of reactions that my close family has also faced.
Hmm.
So actually, through my nonprofit, we're partnering with another nonprofit called Impact NGO based in Jaipur, India, and They're actually building a school, and we're helping build that mental health curriculum and kind of integrate that into their learning. So starting small, but hopefully that can kind of expand and make an impact because it is very stigmatized. And I think because of that, a lot of people aren't getting the help they need, whether that be like therapy or different resources like that. So I think that's very important and really good point you brought up.
Wow.
But yeah,
Especially in India, it's more
yeah,
toxic over there.
mhm, yeah.
Yeah, I guess when reflecting on your work, what are some of the most formidable challenges you've encountered and how have you navigated through them?
Yeah. Um, I feel very privileged to have kind of a space where I'm able to voice my opinions as part of the National Youth Council for UNICEF. They're very good at kind of emphasizing youth voice and making us the center of like activism and any conversations that we have. But um, with the nonprofit sector, I think one of the biggest challenges is getting that funding and getting that sustainable funding for our initiatives. There's a lot of nonprofits out there, and we're all trying to get the same grants, and it's really sad that everyone that's trying to do good is kind of competing for the same money. Um,
Mhm.
but I think if we can get the private sector more involved and that would also be a plus. But yeah, there's a lot of financial uncertainties, and just maintaining that steady flow of resources that so that we can continue making an impact has been really hard. But we've tried to navigate this challenge. We're a relatively new nonprofit. We were founded in 2023, but just I think that also puts us at a disadvantage because there's really qualified nonprofits that are applying for grants and funding sources, and obviously companies are looking to partner with like bigger names, if that makes sense. And since we're like a smaller and more local nonprofit, it's a lot harder to kind of build those strong partnerships with other organizations. But I think slowly but surely, just through fundraising, like something simple as like GoFundMe, or partnering with local like small businesses, I think has been the most efficient so far. But we kind of hope to expand our sustainability and get that effective resource management that I think a lot of nonprofits need.
Definitely, yeah. And
Mhm.
as per my experience, I also run like a foster care oriented nonprofit called
That's
CareJenna.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, we partnered with a local tutoring center in Mathnasium and also Safari Kid. And I've heavily involved in art of living, so we also partnered with them. So I
Yeah.
think, reaching out to other like, oriented businesses or
Mhm.
nonprofits, it really does help gain interest and outreach for your own nonprofit. So anyone listening to this, um, think big.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, the sky's
Yeah,
the limit. Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
Um, what novel approaches has your work embraced to confront complex issues or adversities?
Yeah. I think especially our age, we're growing up in like the technology era. So if you're not on social media, you're behind, and it's hard to kind of keep up with that, especially with like the nonprofit and like business mindset. So I think ways that we've kind of approached it, because I think the biggest issue for us is reach and trying to spread awareness that we are a nonprofit that does exist. This is what we do. This is our mission.
Hmm.
And I think we've kind of combated that just through leveraging those social media platforms, whether that be Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, like really covering our bases in a sense. Um, but I think that's kind of a novel approach that if you do want to get reach, I think that's one of the best ways to do it. Because now everyone's on all of these apps, so it's important to kind of like spread that awareness. And it is very hard because a lot of people do not have access to technology and are unable to see the work we're doing. But I think that's where you kind of build more connections with different communities. Start locally, and then literally the sky's your limit. Like go from local to national, and then start working with nonprofits internationally. Just focus on like the now. Right now, if funding is your issue, start there. Like otherwise, start partnering with other local nonprofits. Like your friends might have nonprofits that you could partner with. They might have similar missions, so partnering can really make your impact much bigger, and you can create projects that are much more impactful. um, but yeah, I think like different novel approaches like that, or just I think partnerships is the main thing, and then partnering with different organizations, and then empowering local leaders and volunteers to also take action in whatever programs that your nonprofit is like hosting. For us, we have club chapters, so A lot of schools have started our chapter at their high school or their middle school, and I think that's been really impactful because now people across the country and across the world also know about our mission. So I think that's a really good way to do it and also ensure that culturally relevant and sustainable impact that we're hoping for.
That's wonderful. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think like another advice for someone who may be new to all of like the nonprofit
Yeah.
business,
Mhm.
getting involved in the community somehow,
Exactly. Yeah.
volunteering from a young
Mhm.
age. Or like,
Mhm.
someone may ask, why do I need to provide service to my community? I think it
Yeah.
provides you like a sense of, belongingness
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
and it also provides for me personally a way to keep myself busy because
Yeah.
otherwise I
Mhm.
start getting into all this like overthinking thoughts
Yeah,
and all
the
that.
internal
And
thoughts win, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I actually started like very heavy community service in ninth grade, but I was involved in like the National Honor Society and things
Wow.
like that in middle school, and even something as simple as like making cards for like hospital workers or like picking up trash in the garden, like literally anything as simple as that that has an impact on somebody. I think that's
Mhm.
a really good way to start, and I've helped a lot of like friends get into community service, and it's a really good out like outlook when you're feeling stressed out. You just like go and help someone. Our like cities do a lot of like green like local trash pickups or like technology drives, and there's a lot of different like Toys for Tots I know is a big thing. So
Mhm.
just participating in something like that that can also make you feel good that you're giving back to the community, and a lot of people will be positively impacted by that. So I really like how you mentioned the importance of community service because I'm a very big advocate for community service.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I actually grew up being in Boy Scouts of America, but now it's Scouts.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was the first time they accepted girls, so I was like, wow, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. My
Yeah.
cousins were they just got their Eagle Scout actually.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's a
love
big journey, and I think it
yeah.
does provide a lot of like information on like being a
Mhm.
good leader in society, and also,
Yeah.
just like it provides you, useful skills like camping, outdoor
Exactly.
skills,
Yeah.
especially
Mhm.
volunteering. So yeah, it's a great,
Yeah.
especially Girl Scouts of America too. Yeah,
Yeah, I love the program. Yeah, I didn't hear of it until I was older, but I really wish I could have taken part because I hear about the amazing things they're doing and all
yeah.
the life skills they're learning and the service they do like for their community, like all the Eagle Scouts projects. I've seen like people do them at my school and like at local playgrounds and stuff, and it's really cool what they're doing. So really
Definitely.
making a tangible impact there.
Yeah, and I think a big thing about Scouts is like it's all about teamwork. So it's about
Yeah.
how you
Hmm.
run your own team because that's
Yeah.
what you're being taught when you earn your Eagle rank. And it's
Hmm.
like how you can be a good leader, not just a bossy leader who wants to
Yeah.
like take control of others. It's more about how people are willingly like giving you their service so that
Hmm.
the entire project is successful, right? Your idea will be
Exactly.
successful.
Hmm.
So, yeah, do you have any insights on, your version of being a good leader?
Yeah. I think for me, I think the most important thing I've seen is the importance of empathy and just listening to others. Often you're able to foster a more safe environment if you're kind of on the listening end of it. Sometimes people just don't want you like spitting out advice at them. Sometimes they just want someone that listens. So understanding just the needs and experiences of not only like your friends and family, but also the communities that you're serving. I think is very important to create effective and meaningful change because obviously if your community needs one thing and you're doing something completely unrelated, it may still be helpful, but it may not be the exact thing that your community needs at that point. So maybe pinpointing and kind of seeing that overlap between what your passion is and what your community needs. I think that's a really great way to start getting involved.
Mhm.
And I think another thing I've really seen is perseverance and the being able to adapt is very, very key. Especially, we talked a little bit about the COVID-19 pandemic. Everything went virtual, and there was a lot of adapting and flexibility that needed to happen there. But also, perseverance, I think, is very, very important because challenges are going to arise. It's unfortunately just inevitable. But if you're really committed to your goals and you're really passionate about the work you're doing and the strategies that you're implementing in these communities, it can help you overcome those obstacles. And just don't be afraid to ask questions to people who have done it before. just like connecting on LinkedIn with really big like advocates for your field, or just learning about how other nonprofits took off, or how other organizations are getting this much reach, like XYZ people are coming to their meetings. I think collaborating with them, but also just being able to learn from them and kind of listen to what they did that worked would really help you also kind of take off and blossom in that sense. And similarly, sorry, this is a lot, but similarly, networking I think is very essential, just like in the corporate world or in the nonprofit sector, just building those really strong relationships with people that are very like-minded to you, and want to make a very similar impact. I know through the numerous organizations I've been a part of that really focus on activism and community service, the best thing that I've been able to get, other than impact and tangibly helping others, is meeting people that think the exact same as me, or want
Mhm.
to create that tangible change, because now we're able to work on projects together, just on our side, and kind of figure out things that we want to do that help our community, or do this resource, or get a meeting with this board or this congressperson in order to advocate for XYZ legislation. So building those strong relationships can definitely amplify your impact and also introduce new avenues for growing and supporting each other. But yeah.
Definitely. And I think, I agree. LinkedIn is such a good tool. I actually
Yeah.
just started
Mhm.
it this year. Like I just
Yeah.
graduated high school, so I was like, oh yeah, why don't I join it? And
Yeah.
it's a wonderful resource. Like there's so many mentors and like TEDx speakers and like
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
think, it really does motivate me. So I would highly recommend anyone like going into like, I guess like entrepreneur industry or kind of just like tech or medical. Um, I think it really helps you find research internships or just like I think just advice for investing or like also, just motivates you kind of like what others are doing like, and their journeys. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I highly recommend. And also
Yeah.
I think a big thing about social media is is that you're in control, right? You
Exactly.
instead of
Yeah. Hmm.
spending 6 hours on it every day or
Yeah.
something. I
Hmm.
know like I was like during COVID, like I had like 12 hours one time. It was like so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you should really curate your feed to make sure that it's not distracting you and it won't like really like you're not comparing yourself to others, right?
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
there's especially on Instagram, there's like an entire like, beauty standard stuff going
Hmm.
on. And then,
Exactly.
on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, it could be kind of toxic where people are just like, "Oh
Hmm.
yeah, I'm so highly achieved." So, building that self-perception and self-confidence, I know it does take time, especially when you're like young high schools, like
Yeah.
high schoolers. But I think, the best way to think about it is that, just think about your big goal and just keep calm and think about the now.
Exactly.
How
Yeah.
can you achieve the future? Where are you at now? So,
I really like that. Yeah. And I think LinkedIn is a very, very good platform. I mean, that's how us two got connected, and I would have never
yeah.
known you if we didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like any social media platform, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, like they can all be unhealthy if you are comparing yourself to people. And I'm victim to this. Like, I think it's kind of like you do it in the back of your mind, and it's just very automatic. But I think if you do see that it's like ruining your mental health, or it's making you not feel as good as you used to, or just like go on a digital cleanse, like I've tried it and it's been really nice. I went for like 8 days without it, and
Wow.
it just helped clear your mind a little bit. And then when you join back, I think LinkedIn does have a lot of great opportunities for like they just post job postings and like as you mentioned like research internships, and you can also find a lot of other small nonprofits that are trying to also like make their impact. So it's a really great way to find those partnerships and see what everyone else is doing. But yeah, I think a big thing is don't compare yourself to other people. Like you're yourself. I think a really good quote is no one can be better than you. Like better at you than you, or something like that.
Yeah.
So like being yourself is truly your superpower, and I would recommend like really finding what you are passionate about and kind of continuing to work there, because at the end of the day like it is your life. Like you don't want to spend that time comparing yourself with other people, and I say this with like also a grain of salt, because I'm constantly comparing myself to other people. I think it's just like imposter syndrome, like a part of college, like high school, just anything really. So
Mhm.
I think that's also really good advice. But if you do need that break from social media, like it's a very common thing, so don't stigmatize that either. But yeah.
Yeah, I've personally gone through a lot of FOMO, kind of like fear of missing out a lot of
Yeah. Mhm.
opportunities. So I totally agree. Yeah. But yeah, I guess going on to the next question,
Mhm.
drawing from your own journey, what invaluable insights or pearls of wisdom would you impart to individuals embarking on similar paths as you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I kind of mentioned this a little bit in the last question, but I had a very non-linear path, so I kind of started somewhere and I don't know where I'm headed. But yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm studying computer science, which if you think about it directly, it doesn't really seem like there's a direct correlation, like if I was international affairs or like something in the NGO sector, majoring in that. But I was really interested in kind of the interdisciplinary connection between technology and the humanitarian sector and just helping people and consulting and things like that. So I think insights I would give, if take advantage of opportunities that do come your way. If you join a club and there's an opportunity to attend a conference or just to meet this people or take part in a certain project that you're interested in, like say yes. Like don't ever say no to something that you might be interested in, or even if you don't know anything about it, like just put your name in the hat, and if it happens, it happens. And I think that's the best way to keep learning, and especially in a world that's so technologically driven, it's important to kind of keep up to date with what's happening in the world and current events, and just putting your name in that hat and putting your initial foot like just through that door can open so many new opportunities for you if you're open-minded. You can end up like doing really cool things, doing really cool projects in your community, being an advocate for people who might not have a voice, and there's a lot of different ways you can go there. And I know it's really hard to kind of initially start, but kind of how I started my journey was all I did was join a club. Like when I entered high school, I joined a bunch of clubs that I thought I would be interested in. And you, if you're really passionate about that, you could get leadership positions, and that can open up like future things and future jobs and listings and like internships and research opportunities. And I think, yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is to maintain an open mind. And if you see an opportunity, like say yes. Obviously, if you're overwhelmed, like don't take on too many responsibilities. But if it is something that you are interested in, I would highly recommend doing it, because that's kind of how I was like given so many opportunities, is because I every time there was an opportunity, I just like volunteered myself. I applied. Like I was like, we'll just see where it goes. You know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest piece of advice, because a lot of people will see like some offer, an application, and they'll be like, man, like I don't fit the qualifications that they're requiring. But you can also learn on the job. You can also learn coming up to it. And I think a lot of people shy away from applying just due to that reason, which is really sad, because everyone has so many really cool insights and unique perspectives that it would just
Mhm.
be like we would be missing out if they weren't a part of the team. So I think it's
Definitely.
important to kind of just throw yourself out there, like get some experience. There's no harm in trying, even if you end up not liking it. Like at least you tried, and now you know that you don't like it. So I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest piece of advice I would give.
I think, yeah, for me actually, in high school, I signed up for way too many activities.
Yeah.
So I would say, say yes, but also make sure you know
Yeah,
your
to an extent,
schedule.
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
you need to balance things out, because
Yeah.
otherwise, you're gonna be either exhausted or just like
Mhm.
really busy and you won't have a social life. So I
Yeah.
think you should at least have like, some social activities with your friends and also
Mhm.
try to maintain like, your academic schedule and
Yeah.
also anything else that you want to pursue. So having a
Mhm.
balance does provide, a really calm mindset and also you won't be so anxious.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely say yes, but obviously to an extent, like you don't want to end up being burnt out, and if you're involved in too much, that can also be a source of stress.
Hmm.
So just making sure that you're saying yes, but only to how much you're comfortable, and
Hmm.
make sure not to overwork yourself, because burnout is so real. And
Yeah,
especially when you're a young age, you just feel like doing anything, everything. You like sign up for everything. You're in like 20 clubs, and now you like don't have time to sleep. So it's very important to prioritize yourself and your health first, and then start getting involved in what you're truly interested in, but make sure it's to an extent that's healthy, and you're not spending so much time that you're like taking away from the things that might be more important. But yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you for being here today,
Yeah,
Kripa.
of course.
And yeah, this comes to our, the end of our conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was really nice meeting you and learning more about your nonprofit. But I'm really looking forward to seeing your LinkedIn updates and seeing what you're up to. It was so surprising that you made it this year because I was looking at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this girl is so qualified and so involved in everything. But yeah, it was really nice to meet you, and I'm really glad that we got to connect because a very special connection. But yeah,
Yeah, no problem. Thank
yeah.
you.
Awesome. Thank you.